And unmute us.
I did.
There you go.
Hello again.
We switched sides.
It's still Tuesday.
It's still Tuesday. Yeah.
All the way from over here.
It's opposite
instead
side.
of over there. It's opposite afternoon.
Yeah.
So we are going to have some fun with a new toy.
We are.
Because I like new toys. Do you like new toys?
Of course.
Heck
Who
yeah.
doesn't like a new toy? And a Kimberbell toy.
And a Kimberbell toy that was free.
It was free, yeah.
Even better. So Kimberbell, hi Mom. Kimberbell sent us a sampler. So we are going to show you how these cool new things work.
Yeah, because it's super fun to be able to quilt in your hoop. And since not everybody has the super expensive
fancy dancy
one with built-in quilting designs, and even if you do have the super expensive one with the built-in quilting designs,
sometimes
there's still only so many in there, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and you know, this is really easy.
This is really easy.
So I like the easy road.
Doesn't everybody?
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the new Kimberbell
clear blue tiles.
Yes. Clear blue tiles.
Look at that. We're live.
Woohoo. Which is not a test.
This is okay.
I know they're all thinking the same thing. So we're going to show you how easy it is to use those. They should be coming sometime next month, I believe.
Yeah.
Is when the expected ship date is. They are available for pre-sale on our website. So you can click those. If you are having trouble finding them, the Kimberbell tab. The Kimberbell tab has a pre-order and fill in the blank section. And that's kind of where we put the stuff that's not in stock yet.
Also known as a pre-order. So also been a little confusing. There are two options for these clear blue tiles. And
everybody,
if you decide you want to try these, you have to buy the expensive one first, because the non-expensive one won't do you any good unless you have the other portion. So the main piece is the essentials set, and that is the expensive portion.
Right.
And then the expansion set is an extra piece that you can get that would give you for the larger hoop sizes. So if you wanted to be able to expand, hence expansion, you can get that one to be able to do.
Or you have bigger hoops.
If you have the larger hoops, then and you want to be able to quilt larger sections at a time with those hoops, you can go with that.
Big hoops. I cannot lie.
And I cannot lie. Yep. Okay. It's gonna be one of those weeks, isn't it?
It is.
Are you like vacation happy or something?
I'm ready to be.
You're ready to go? Okay.
I'm on my way to Disney already. Don't ask me anything.
The mind has left the building.
It has. Yep. Oh.
Well, then this should be really interesting, because Sarah is going to do the bulk of the work this afternoon. So
sorry for you
I'm going to sit here and move the mouse, and I'm going to play with the mice today, and she's going to play with the toys.
Yes.
Over there. So kind of there.
Yeah.
It depends on which way you're pointing.
Right.
On screen or off screen.
Yes.
On screen. Off screen. I'm just as silly as she is, and I have to stay here. So God help all of you. And God help Hayden. There you go. He's stuck with me alone for 2 weeks.
Yes. Yes. Poor guy.
Oh, poor baby. Okay. So should we jump in?
Let's jump in. Yes.
All right. So we didn't really talk about sewing or anything this morning, but
no.
Sarah made some really cute shirts. We should totally
I'll show my
shirts before you guys got to see these.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm prepping for my Disney magic. My Scan and Cut made some Disney magic happen this weekend, and some not so Disney magic when I said bad words.
It came out in like pound signs and squiggles and
yep. I had transfer tape failure. And then
the fun part, I didn't get a phone call though.
No, I knew what the problem was.
Yeah.
My problem was communicating it to my well-intentioned husband.
Isn't it fun when they try to help you because they think they know how to fix it?
I totally get like where he was coming from. He's like, I've done this before. We've done it together many times.
Yeah.
I understand.
But I know how to fix it.
Should
Just
be
go
stuck.
away.
And it's not. But it's not. Yeah, he kept asking. He's like, this stuff that you bought isn't sticky. Maybe you put it on the wrong side. I'm like, there's only one side that's sticky and there's paper on it. So you can't mess that one up. Not like the glitter, which you can.
Yeah, you cannot mirror image and then it doesn't work as well.
That's right.
Oh, should we say hi to Caitlin? We shall not say hi to Caitlin.
Yeah, turn that off before we get like, we're going to get, that's not.
I can't. Let's try over here.
When you have music that you don't have copyright to.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. All right. Let's yeah, we're gonna switch.
Okay, let's go to this.
Look at that.
Yay!
Yay! I succeeded with the mice. Okay.
All right, so we have some samples here. Now this isn't the full Monty, so we don't have everything. We just have a little sampling of this.
This is just a sample.
So when you purchase your essential kit, you're going to get a fancy dancy book, and then you're going to get a USB stick. Whoops, get it in the right spot here. That has the quilting designs on it. And then you're going to get this really fancy slap wrist thing here.
But why do we actually get that?
I'll tell them.
Okay.
It's a secret. No one can know.
You get some bling.
It's just so you can play.
You get bling. It's so you can smack yourself, evidently.
Right. Or your neighbor.
Or your neighbor. Okay.
This is to help control the roll of your of your quilt.
That's the kind of roll I need to control.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's what this guy is, to help you roll up and then contain that. And then you're going to have your fancy tiles. So these are basically plastic, right? And then they have markings on them. And then you're going to get a water-soluble pen. You definitely don't want an air-soluble pen for this because it'll disappear before you finish your quilt. That's one thing I can guarantee.
Yeah, so you could mark large areas at one time, where if you had an air soluble, you could literally like do one and then you'd have to stitch.
Absolutely. So essentially, you need to know a couple of things about your hoops that you have and your quilt before you can kind of get yourself marked up. And I want to do just a little bit of chatting about hoops here. Sometimes we don't talk about this enough, and it can be a little bit confusing. So this hoop here is a hoop that is 6 inches by 10 inches on the inside. Can you hand me that black tape measure? I did grab a tape measure, but of course
I didn't make it all the way over here.
No. All right. But when you actually measure the inside of this hoop, the inside measures 12 inches by like 7.5 inches. But this is really only a 6 by 10 hoop. And the reason that it is only 6 by 10, I'm going to pull this up a little bit so you can see it a little bit closer here. Really hard to see.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got to have something solid somewhere.
All right.
There we go.
So you can see the little grid inside, and then you can see that extra space at the top. So essentially, all embroidery hoops have dead space. The dead space is the space that the machine needs in order to effectively move around the hoop without stitching through the edges of the hoop. So depending on, here's your back of your hoop and your foot. So you've got more clearance room down there, and then it's got to come to the front, and you don't want to hit anything. So you've got all of this dead space. And depending on your machine, you may have a little bit more space on the left or the right.
God bless.
Then this particular version, this would be what a grid guide looks like for a baby lock or a brother. So the place that we actually measure the hoopable area, or the stitchable area actually, is on this grid. Okay, and this grid works with this particular hoop. So even though my hoop, the inside of my hoop, measures significantly larger than the actual size that I'm going to be working on, that is the area that I have to work with. So if this was my largest hoop, I would need to make sure that I am working with template pieces here that are going to be under 6 by 10. So that's very important, because if you start using pieces here for like an 8 by 12 block or whatever, because you think, oh gosh, it fits in there, it's not going to work. So you do need to know.
But I want it to.
I know that we'll have to sell you a new machine, and Lisa and I are very happy to do that. So we're that kind of friend. So we can make you happy, just maybe not your pocketbook.
Or your husband.
Or your husband. Or your wife.
Or your significant other.
That's right. So when you look at your hoop and your grids, you're going to notice that there's some words at the bottom. This one says ABC. You want to make sure that when you're looking at this, you've got ABC towards you and that you can read it. Obviously, you do not want it to be upside down. And you're basically, on this particular model, your arrows or your notches, they're actually not towards you. So sometimes, depending on the machine that you might have, your arrows might be down at the bottom, and that's where your ABC will go. But because this is how it actually slides into our machine, this is how this particular brand works. So the reason using the templates is important is because I'm not sure, again, how well you can see this. Let's try and make it but a lot of times we use those notches at the top. And if you look really closely at the top there, that purple line is actually to the left of where the line is on my hoop, which means if I'm using those lines as my center mark, I'm always going to be off just a little bit. And if I'm doing a big block and it's taking up the majority of my hoop, I don't have that extra nudge to scooch it over. I need to be a little bit more precise when I'm doing that. So these templates are going to make sure that you are using the correct placement each time. So when you bring the design up into your embroidery machine and you line up your center, you should be spot on. So no matter which hoop you're using, if you're going to use this particular method, all right, and you don't have a camera. So ignoring, if you have a camera, you'll be able to scan and do your placements, and that's a little bit different. But for people who don't have the camera, you're going to be using these templates to make sure that you have everything lined up when you go to hoop it. So I'm going to set these aside here. And we're going to talk about the types of quilting that you can do.
I think you should knock the camera off like I did.
I'll try.
That was so much fun.
So essentially, when we are doing our quilting on our quilt, we have two types of quilting that we can do. We can do an all-over design, or we can do custom quilting. All right, there's really only two options of quilting, all over or custom. So you could certainly do some sort of varied variation of the two, but we have custom quilting, which means we're taking the time to make sure that the quilting in between, like the block pieces and maybe my sashing pieces, is completely different versus a pattern that is continuously repeated over and over and over the quilt. Now, you can do both options with the tiling system that she has set up here. You would just mark your quilt slightly different. So if I was going to do custom quilting, here are my template pieces. And what I would be looking for are the template pieces that closely resemble the quilting that I want to use. So this is a really small one. Probably not use this one a lot.
She calls those bitty something so that you can personalize them and just add in fun little extras. Mm-hmm. So either for like corner blocks,
yep,
or just because you want to add in a fun little something extra somewhere.
Right. On this particular quilt here, I don't have like a corner sashing piece here, but in a lot of quilts, you do end up with like a really cool piece that happens in your corners. So that would be a really good place to do it. But on this one, we've got some longer pieces. And so what I would be looking for are the different size pieces that would actually fit into the space that I'm working with. And so here we go. We could use this one here. All right. And keep in mind that these are designed for finished sizes because these are finished sizes. I hope that makes sense. So the seam allowance is already included in these pieces. So when we talk about the pieces that we're going to be finishing, we're talking about the actual finished size after you have pieced it together. This isn't like a quilt as you go method. It's designed to quilt after you've pieced the top and you have your batting lined up underneath it, and then you have your backing behind it. So we would pick the pieces that we want to use in the spaces that we want to use them in, and then we would mark them. So there's a lot of information that you can find on your tiling system here. There are arrows. So the arrow is important to make sure that you have the direction of your design going in the way that you want it. So it will help you not twist it and turn it later on. So for instance, if I wanted this particular design to kind of flow all the way around my quilt, then I would use this piece right here and I would draw my arrow. So I would draw my crosshair, draw my arrow going in that direction. You could also draw your little circle in the middle. And then this piece right here is to let me know what size I'm going to be using so that when I'm going to pull up the designs later on, I can find them. And so this is 2 by 7. So I'm going to write that over here. I realize it's probably very hard for you to see what I'm doing because it's tiny down here, but I'm using the marks.
To the camera so that they can see that little box.
Yep.
So there's that little square that's right underneath there. That's where you're going to write the size so that when you come to the machine later on, you know which design to match up with that particular piece. And then you can see the markings and the arrows that will mark the direction of up or not up, depending upon which direction you're going. So
you would use them like so. And that's what you would put in your
actually fabric. On the quilt.
Yes, you put that in your fabric block there. So then I would continue moving my pieces around until I've got all of the shapes inside, keeping my arrows all going in the same direction all the way around my quilt. So that's what I would do if I were going to custom quilt this. I would pick and choose the pieces that are going to fit, and then I would lay them into the appropriate places, and I would go ahead and mark those. You also have a lot of border choices, and then you also have block pieces. So if I wanted to quilt maybe a larger section of this using a big block, I could also do that. I could also draw the giant piece here. So if I didn't want to break this down into all those little itty bitty pieces, I could do some bigger quilting around the outside pieces, or I could do a little bit of both. Maybe I want to do a large chunk here and then maybe a couple of little accent pieces at the bottom.
So that's going to come into play dependent, of course, on how large of an embroidery hoop you have to play with.
That's right.
So if you have a maximum 5 by 7 hoop, that's going to, of course, play into which tiles you can choose to.
That's right.
And so on and so forth. So Roseanne has the question of how, oops, sorry, wrong mouse. How do we use our dime snap hoop with these? So once you have the pieces marked, you would then hoop those specific areas and connect that to the machine. So at this point, you wouldn't be using any hoop other than what's my largest hoop size that I have available to use.
That's correct. So if I were going to be using the dime magnetic hoops for this particular process, because now I happen to know that Roseanne has a camera, so this is moot for her. Okay, so she's going to use her camera to make sure that once she gets it in the hoop, her design is actually fitting in the space that she wants it. So taking that out of the account, a lot of the dime magnetic hoops, they do give you that tape when you put them on. You're supposed to put like the
there's a ruler, that's a sticky
tape
ruler
along the outside of that to make sure that you have your position where you need it, you are going to need either a piece of plexiglass, or not plexiglass, plastic template stuff. So I have actually taken a larger piece of plastic. It's kind of clear or frosted, placed it over top of my magnetic hoop, trimmed it to the exact size, and then drawn the lines because it stays on top. And I just pick that up and use it exactly like I would pick this up and use it. So I just kind of like,
you make your own hoop
template. Made my own hoop template, taped it on the top because the top of the hoop is always on the top and your fabric is going between this piece and this. So you would need to make yourself a template of the usable space that you have. But that is how you would use the magnetic hoop to make sure that you're getting your pieces lined up as needed.
So that you're not going to end up hitting the hoop.
That's right.
When you're quilting. So that makes sure that you are giving yourself plenty of embroiderable area to actually hit the space that you need, or actually not hit,
right?
Not hit the hoop that's underneath in there. So basically, the stage that she's at right now, you're just marking everything, and as long as you're using that water soluble, you can continue to mark the whole quilt if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
And then once you have everything marked, then you would get out whichever hoop it is, whether it's going to be a magnetic hoop or one of your standard hoops that come with the machine.
Right.
Whichever ones those would be, you certainly could just, if you're magnetic, I don't know about Sarah, but I like when I'm doing quilting, I like to just take my top off and slide my hoop around, or slide my quilt around and not take out my base. I leave my base actually in the machine as many times as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that I'm not shifting things around. Are you done over there?
Yeah, for a little while, I think, unless somebody has any specific questions.
Hers was the only question so far. So
the sizes, we just have a very small sampling of the different pieces right here. The actual sizes that will be coming with the essential set. So you're going to get 2x2, 2x4, 4x4, 2x6, 4x6, 6x6, 2x8, 4x8, 6x8, 8x8, and then 2x10, 4x10, 6x10, and 8x10. And then there's border tiles that come, there's like a 1x7, a 2x7, a 3x7, a 4x7, a 5x7, a 6x7, a 1x10, a 2x10, a 3x10, a 4x10, a 5x10, and a 6x10. So I didn't have any of the 1-inch ones over here, but that is the size.
That wasn't in our sample.
It wasn't in our sample pack.
We have just the 2s, right?
That's the size that I would have picked for that
those specific quilts
right.
pieces that we had here.
And then your expansion ones are going to give you a 2, a 4, and a 6, and an 8x12. And then a 2, a 4, a 6, and an 8x14. So bigger hoops.
Yep.
And then border ones will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 14 as well. So if you have those, that big magnetic hoop, and the truth is, if you're doing custom quilting, having a variety of sizes is great. If you're doing all over size, you want to use the largest
one you got available.
That you have available. Absolutely.
Yep.
And it does appear like a variety of these are going to be usable with the Kimberbell designs that she has on the website. So you're going to get a bunch of different designs with this particular.
There's a cute little USB.
Yeah, the USB is really cute. There's a ton of designs that are going to come with it that are going to be exclusive to the set.
Right.
So they will not be sold separately on the website. But there are going to be additional designs.
Right. And then for those of you who have seen a little bit of this before with the Bella Box, the design that we got in the Bella Box was exclusive. So you guys got a little sneak peek of what was going on there. This is another little sneak peek.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything that's in there won't be available, is my understanding, separately. So all of those things are going to be exclusive to wherever they're at. So the stuff that's available individually on their site will be just as a digital download, but you can use them with this system. But the stuff that's in the system isn't necessarily going to be on their site available for, I mean, I don't know that for sure. Right. I'm just stabbing in the dark. That would make sense. Yeah. That there's separate
a lot of the designs that they have on the website are not in finished sizes. So it'll say like a 1.5 by 8.5 because they're using them before
it's a pre-quilting concept versus once the quilt is done.
Right. But so I imagine that they're going to start adding some finished sizes in there as well. So they'll
either that or they'll change the names and rewrite directions or something to that effect.
Right.
So I think it's going to be.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty cool when we got the little bit of the taste of it. I think it's really neat because there are so many of us that, not that quilting by check is painful, and it's certainly way easy, definitely, but a lot of us have large machines, and even if you don't have one that has all the quilting stuff in it, you've got a big hoop. So you kind of feel like, I've got all this, shouldn't I be able to use it? This kind of gives you the ability to be able to use it. And I think, what is it, 130.29? What is the essentials? 129?
129.
129.95 for the essentials. So we're talking what, like probably 2 quilts?
Yeah.
Probably something like that.
Not
if you
even,
were,
well,
it depends on the size of your quilt, but roughly paying somebody twice to quilt for you, and you have invested in being able to do it yourself.
Is that like teaching somebody how to fish so they can feed themselves for their
entire life
instead of just giving them the fish?
Sure, we'll go with that.
We'll teach you how to quilt, so you don't have to pay the quilter.
Not that we don't like our quilters, because we certainly do, and that there's a time and a place for everything. Absolutely.
If you have a king size quilt, definitely.
Yeah, but it is also, especially when it's a gift that you're giving to somebody and you want it to be, I made this, you know, and I'm smacking my mic. So sorry. I do that a lot. I must have Italian blood. That's all I can say. I'm going to sit on my hands. Okay. So literally I'm sitting on my hands. See, my mom taught me well. So I think that, you know, it really does say something to people. You know, I went to a first birthday party and I made a baby quilt, and it wasn't huge. It was just a little thing, and I gave it to them, you know, in the shower. And she was like, "Oh, we use that all the time. He's progressed to something or other in daycare, and they asked us to," not sitting on my hands anymore. They asked us to send in something, and she was like, "So we sent in your blanket, so it gets used, you know." And they even said, "Oh, what a nice, you know." And I'm like, she went out of her way to tell me, you know, how much they like it. It makes you feel good, you know, when you've done something like that. So it's nice to be able to say, I did that, versus, oh yeah, I had that done, or something to that effect. So it's nice to be able to complete a whole project on your own. And certainly baby quilts are a nice stepping stone if you don't want to start with a king or even a queen. That was my mistake.
No.
That was my first quilt. I did a queen size quilt.
Yeah.
And then I quilted it myself. And then I said, I don't like this. I'm not doing it. And I didn't do it for years because it was awful.
Well, it's not, I mean, it's
terrible.
It's not necessarily that enjoyable, because it's a lot of,
it's tedious. I mean,
it's a lot to manhandle.
It is, you know, so you have to have the space, and
one of these isn't going to do it.
One of them is not. I get the impression though, I think you get 2. So at
two
least
of these wouldn't do it.
No, but at least the area of the net, you know, so
you're using your hands again.
She's smacking me. You guys saw it, right? She's smacking me. But yeah, so if you have, you know, one in front of the neck and one behind the neck, at least that area that's getting right by the needle can be contained, which was, I think, probably you got to start somewhere. And you can buy those. As a matter of fact, you can, not that specific one, but you can buy those here.
You can buy the one that's not the test.
I think there's 2 that come in the I think I saw that on the thingamajigger that you get 2 in the actual essentials kit. You get 2 of those, but which again, it's not a ton, but it's certainly enough to give you the right by the needle area.
Yeah.
Maybe
we
contained.
Also sell
those are the stabilizer ones, and we also have
on them
plain ones that evidently I need to open the pack and smack Sarah with them.
I didn't even smack you hard enough to make the bracelet work.
It didn't even break it, so it stayed straight.
Oh, but
but you saw it. You guys all saw it.
It was off camera. She's gonna get us in trouble with that music.
Totally. I didn't do it on purpose. Caitlin was like, "Oh, sorry, I forgot." I'm like, "I'm live. Stop." Oh, you were on camera. I was like, "Not now." I'm sorry. But yeah, so we're gonna have these to play with. So I think we'll physically do some stuff, and we'll have them here if you guys want to come check those out. Pre-orders are available online, and Kathy, I think it's certainly a feasible option, but I don't know when it will be because we got to get them first. So we'll see about dates for something like that. We'll check it out. The who knows?
Yeah.
Time. She's got 2 weeks coming up here. You leave on Saturday. And she's going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and then she'll be here for a couple of weeks, and then I'm going for I'm leaving on Thursday, so I'm leaving
like a week and a half.
I'm taking 2 extra days, so I'm doing a week and a half. So, yep, I'm going to be, I'm going.
Yep.
And then we'll be
almost time for Novi.
We'll be coming up on that.
It's always almost time for something.
It's almost time for something, right? And then we'll have, Thanksgiving, and then it's all coming up so very fast. I can't believe school started yesterday. It's like, oh.
And we're going to blink, and it's going to be Thanksgiving weekend and then Christmas. And we're going to be like, what happened to the year?
I can't believe it's already basically September. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah. I realized
we've been doing this for a year now.
52 weeks we've been doing this. We haven't missed a beat.
Nope. So speaking of missing a beat,
right?
The next couple of weeks, we're going to try a little bit different stuff. So next week, she's going to have a really interesting background. We'll have to see what it's going to be because it'll depend on
I don't know where I'll be,
where she will be exactly. Right? She knows approximately where she'll be, but not exactly where she'll be.
That's right.
So she's going to pop in. It's not going to be an hour. It'll be a short live.
Yeah. I'm going to be somewhere in the Magic Kingdom, most likely, because that's where we're going to be. You have to make park reservations these days. So I know what park we'll be at. And I'm going to pop in and say hello. So I'll either be at the park or we'll be back at the camper waiting because we have our Halloween party that night. So, I'm old and I can't stay up that late now. I might need an afternoon nap.
I'm going to just not say anything. So we're going to next week.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some of our favorite tools. So she's going to have her little stash of goodies and I'll have my little stash of goodies. And we're going to just talk about our favorite tools. And of course,
a few of our favorite things.
These are a few of our favorite things. You have to find a place that sings that. Isn't there like a Sound of Music place somewhere? Something like that. That would be really great. So we're going to do that next week. And then the week after that, we are going to talk.
We're going to replay.
We're not going to talk live.
No, we're
gonna replay something that a lot of you absolutely loved when we did it. So we're gonna re-hit it because it's something we get questions on all the time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna cheat.
We're gonna
a little bit.
Yeah. What is that? We're gonna have a replay. No. What is it? A rerun.
Rerun.
It's gonna be. We're gonna be rerun. We're gonna be in reruns for a week.
So that'll be in 2 weeks. That's what that one will be, but it'll still be there. And of course, I'll be here. So if you guys have questions on what's happening, you can always give the shop a call.
That's right.
And
you can always ask questions because there will be waiting in line time.
There you go. So that's what's going to be happening here for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And of course, my phone's still going up. And so we have lots going on yet this week before you go.
Yeah.
So just in case you didn't know,
3 more times.
We are going to be live tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. And then again on Friday morning. And Friday morning is going to kind of be a catch-all, if you will. So we're going to talk embellishments. We're going to talk borders. Are you freaking kidding me?
We're going to do a little bit of stitching live because
we're going to talk
3
borders
leading up to it we're going to be doing
we're going to talk the pieces themselves that are just going to be tips and tricks on the quilt squares themselves. And then Friday we're going to stitch a border and connecting it just to make sure you guys all understand how to do that. And this is all going to be for the Candy Corn Quilt Shop, in case anybody's like, what are they talking about?
What are we doing? We just love to be live.
We totally do. Yeah. We can't get enough of it. Can't you tell?
Thanks. The whole world just heard you sigh, Tony. I said the whole world just heard you sigh, Tony.
He's now running.
Oh, he ran over Hazel, man. What'd she do to you?
just took out the dress for her. Bam. So that's going to be the border. And then we will do a quilt, just a little guy. We'll do a quilting on ways that you can quilt those extra pieces. So like the non-embroidered pieces that are just like the fillers, how you can make that work. Just in case somebody goes, okay, I don't get it. You'll see it, then you'll get it. And then we'll talk embellishments and answer any questions that you guys have up. So that's what's happening the rest of this week. And then we all have the weekend off.
Yeah.
So if you didn't already know, we are going to be closed on Saturday and on Monday.
I'll be driving. I will not. I'll be driving to Tennessee with the 2 cats.
Tennessee?
Tennessee.
What was that? We looked that up the other day, and I don't remember now why. Totally drawing a blank. But we had to look that song up.
We did.
And we were like, somebody said Tennessee or something, and we were like, Tennessee.
And Hayden didn't know what we were talking about.
Hayden looks at us like, you two are nuts. Yep, pretty much. So, but we're a lot of fun to hang out with. Totally. So there you go. There you go. We will be talking about all of that kind of stuff, but we won't be here over the weekend. So,
or Monday.
That's the weekend.
So we'll be closed Saturday and
Sunday, Monday. The shop will be closed. However, really cool news. The road is open. So we can now drive north or south on South Industrial. Yay. I know, no doubt. And you can now turn left onto South. It was open, but they still had cones all through the left turn lane off of Eisenhower to get on Saturday. I was like, well, that's not cool. Are they going to move those? So, yeah.
It's hard to get good help.
So yesterday I still came in around because I was like, if they're still there, I'm not turning around and driving, all the way around. So when I went home there, I'm like, okay, they're out of the way. So I can turn in that way. So you can come in however you normally come in. You can get there now. So we are all good. There's still some other crazy stuff going on. There's random cones and they're cleaning things up and whatnot. It still looks a little construction-y. That's not a word, but we're going with it. But I'm telling you, totally a Webster's girl right here. I'm just going to make some up every week. We'll see what gets put in the dictionary. But so super fun. Knew it was going to happen before the football started, but
maybe someday you'll say some really fancy word and then our video will just go viral.
It'll go viral
and we'll just be the cool kids.
We already are the cool kids.
The whole world will know then. And then our small group they'll have to share us with with more people. Bigger people. I know. Dave always says, do you think Saturday Night Live is going to get mad? I'm like,
not yet.
We're still pretty
small enough that,
I don't think we're on anybody's radar.
I don't think so either. I get asked that too, my family. Don't you think? I'm like, no, it's the lowercase L. We're not an uppercase L. So it's okay. We're good. You think? I'm like, yeah, totally. Yeah, that's all the difference in the world.
Totally.
So that's what I got. You got anything else?
Do you guys want to see my shirts?
You guys got to see these. These are super cute. So, excellent. You're going to love them. it really is a really great pack. You know, I know what machine you have too, Miss Kathy, and so you have the ability to quilt, but these really do make things so easy. So I think you're really going to love it. So I'm excited for you. So she's got, I'm going to switch.
Yeah.
So she has the current, nope, now the old, I guess, Disney machine.
Old.
Disney scan and cut machine. And she played some this weekend. So did you make your husband's wife shirt yet?
I didn't. No. It's on the list.
So this one, 99% sure she's a Disney villain.
Yep.
So tell them about what you're going to make your husband.
Dave's shirt is going to say, my favorite Disney villain is my wife.
I think that's really funny.
And then
I need this one. Totally need this one. So very, very cute. And it says, what does it say at the very bottom?
It says, Coach established 1950, a land far, far away. And then
rolling. See you rolling.
With my homies.
That's not what I was going to say.
Right.
But okay, we'll go with that. So aren't those cute? So those are all glitter vinyls and were cut heat transfer vinyl that were cut on the scan and cut and then basically ironed onto those t-shirts. Yeah, aren't they adorable?
New thin, no, it's not the thin vinyl blade, but it's the thin vinyl blade. The new
vinyl blade.
Yes. It's not called thin vinyl blade.
It's not thin. It's just the vinyl blade. It's got a light blue top on it. It's just the vinyl blade.
Yeah, it cuts much more intricate. So that was a lot of fun. Yes, I only so the rolling with the homies one was the last one that I did, not the first one that I did, and I forgot to mirror image that one. So the words are not legible.
So you just tacked those off?
So I just hacked those off, and I'm gonna put.
And then Dave's homies are in reverse.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about homies; they don't care.
Yeah, he was pretty impressed yesterday. It was cute. The shirts were laying on the counter, and he's like, "Oh, where'd you get this from?" And I'm like, "This girl, I made him." He's like, "Those are pretty good." I'm like, "Gee, get a little excited, why don't you?"
Confidence,
right? Oh, but it was pretty.
Sometimes I'm not sure whether we should love them or punch them, but it's okay then. But
yes.
So you did succeed in getting the sticky on the camper?
Not all of them are done. I have to redo them. So I know Lisa has talked about this before, like transfer
and how important it is
that
to have the right transfer
tape works with your vinyl.
With the vinyl.
So I got some vinyl, permanent vinyl, to put some Mickey decals on our camper, and
we bought the transfer tape from them.
I did, and it said works with. So they had 12 different tapes to work, right? So I mean, how do you know? You just pick. Okay, so I picked it, and when I was using it, when I was putting it on there, I was like, oh man, this is really sticky. And I'm like, it's been a while since I've done graphics for a vehicle, so maybe maybe it's different now. So Dave also had to wash the vehicle.
Hand wash
the vehicle, yes. So he's scrubbing, right? And then of course, so I go out there and I'm like, yeah, it's not real, I was thinking a little dirt might have done us a little good for this part, right? And I was like, well, I don't know if rubbing alcohol will be okay on the outside of this, but that's what I normally would have put on there, to
clean it off before you're ready to stick stuff
and to make sure there's no like wax residue or anything. So then I go to put it on, and I go on, and I put it on and I squeegee it down, and then he's like getting ready to touch it. I'm like, no, let's leave it for a second, because it's not real hot. So I'm concerned. So I left it for about 5 minutes, and then I went to pull it back, and I was like, oh crap.
Just all came right back off.
Like 95% of it came right back off. So there were like a couple of places where it was starting to stick, and I probably could have really started
to peel and then fussed with it.
Right. But they were such intricate lines on some of the places.
It was stretching.
It was just going to be a giant nightmare. So then, of course, Dave's like, did you cut it on the wrong side? And I'm like, there's only one side to cut it this way. But no, I did not.
No.
And so, yeah, then there was an argument ensued, and I sort of stormed off into the house and was like, I said a bad word. And then I went and I recut the design, and I pulled out some old transfer tape that I had from a long time ago. That was a little bit more like masking tape, the not clear.
Yeah.
And I put it on the Mickey down, and then I stormed outside and I put it on the thing, and I waited a minute and I pulled it right back off, and I'm like, see?
I told you so.
So can you stop monkeying with that?
I told you so.
Because it's making me crazy. I'm like, I know what the problem is. But yeah, it would have been, I should have videotaped that. Yeah, the sad thing is I'm fairly confident that it's all already on video because we have a camera that points right to that position. Yes. So if Dave were to say I didn't say that, I probably could have said, let's just rewind that. But that doesn't really get you anything in a marriage.
No, probably wouldn't have helped the situation.
You just have to walk away, and we're about to spend a lot of time together. So, I mean, I can actually move to the back of the camper, but it's probably just better for us to let that go. But I recut one of the two pieces that didn't get put on yesterday, and I just have to peel it and put it on, so we'll be okay. But
very nice.
Transfer tape fail. Yeah. Nothing. And then he's like, so is there anything that we can salvage this from? And I'm like,
it's not worth it.
And I'm like, well, I mean, I could like put it on something and recut it so that there's clear transfer tape over top of the other stuff. But no, it's just trash.
Just trash at this point.
I mean, it's just a little bit of tape and a little bit of vinyl. And
there's what, $5-10 worth of, nope, that's just there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there we go.
Wave goodbye to it.
Wave goodbye, yes.
Because it's not any good.
But it's good to know the marriage survived Mickey and Minnie being applied to the vehicle. I wasn't sure.
See, my marriage wouldn't have survived me trying to put them on in the first place. He would have been like, oh, heck no.
Yeah. Well, it was his idea. So he wanted to like Disney it up a little bit. But
not mine.
Yeah, it was like
that would have been a HE double hockey sticks.
No.
Big no.
But yeah, so I think today will be better. But then later on, he's like, so did you get those Disney masks sewn yet? And I'm like, I'm going to punch you.
You know what I've been doing, right?
I'm like, yeah, I totally did that while I was fighting with you over this.
And dinner's ready too, right?
Yeah, I did cook dinner in the middle of all that, but
too funny. All right, so that was our fun this weekend.
Yeah. You can always tell I can always tell when he's stressed over something because he's the overanalyzer, that something like as silly as this would be the thing that is the icing on the cake. Yeah. And I was just ready to strangle him. And I love him. So there's not very often when I really want to strangle him. This is why it's better now that when he does construction projects, I don't help.
You don't help.
Mm-mm. That's why we've stayed together. Because he is definitely that type A, right? He wants it it has to be a very, very special way of doing it. And if I veer off of that, it's not good.
No, it is not.
But yeah, I did manage to get 3 shirts made and 2 vinyl decals applied. Yes.
That's not bad.
No, some fails, but way more successes. So that's pretty good.
That's good.
I still cannot believe how quiet this SnL is.
It is crazy. It's almost like, didn't I push start? Oh, look at that. It's cutting.
Yeah. It's just, it
is such an awesome machine.
Yeah. If you're cutting on like my old silhouette, it was so loud. Yes. It was so loud.
You knew what was happening over there. I can't tell you how many times I've thought, is it done? Did I push start?
Yeah.
And you walk back over and you're like, oh, no, look at that. It's going.
I will tell you, though, I do have and now I know this will probably never happen, but my wish list for the SnL would be like a running time of how much blade use has been used so that you really have an idea of like they recommend that after like 2 hours of actually cutting, your blade's pretty dull, so you should change it, or you should press.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know if your blade has gotten dull until you find out it didn't cut. And I certainly, I did it when I was concerned. I did a little bit of a test cut. It was fine at the beginning, but then it wasn't so great at the end. And of course, I'd already taken it off the mat.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing that I recommend to everybody is before you unload the mat, check.
Yeah.
So for all of us, because that is a case, now that we have the auto sensing blades, we assume it's all working magically fine. The Disney magic is happening.
The Disney magic happens.
So you definitely want to double check before you unload the mat. As long as the mat is loaded in, you can hit go and it will re-hit.
Right.
And then if it didn't clearly cut somewhere, it would go right on top of where it did. If you unload, there's no guarantee it's going to load back in exactly the same position, and you could get a shadow line or something like that. But if you check and you're like, oh, it didn't do whatever over here. Unlike a time, because of course I changed my blade. I'm really good at changing my blade. Needles, whole nother story. my scanning cut blade I have no problem with. But, I change that all the time. And how would it know?
Well, it kind of knows.
It knows which carrier you have in.
Right.
So
like on long
but
arms,
there'd have to be a reset. There'd have to be that. But what I really want, I want it to be able to fast forward.
Yeah.
To just say, I just want you to cut this portion of my cut.
Right.
That's what I want.
Yes.
I think that would be a phenomenal feature.
We need both of those features.
We need anybody listening out there. We need these things. Okay. We need a timer and we need a fast forward and reverse button to be able to say, I just missed this spot. Please go here and now cut that. Okay. Stop. Now I'm good.
Yeah.
Because that would just save so many projects of, I don't need the whole thing recut, just this little bit. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe your mat is marred over there.
Right.
And so it needs a little extra help because I'm trying to make my mat last or whatever the reason might be. So if it makes you guys feel any better, we have the same issues. Oh crap. We say things like that too. So lots and lots of fun to be had with clear blue tiles and with your scan and cut. So I didn't use mine this weekend. I was here a lot this weekend, and then I did work on candy corn quilt. That was the only other thing that I did this weekend. So I stitched some extra squares, and I sewed sections together.
Pretty proud that I did not have to call you. I was able. Yeah. I have watched you enough that I knew exactly what I was doing. And when it failed, I knew exactly why.
Yeah, I heard Lisa say that. Once or twice or 50 times.
The thing that took me that was the hardest thing for me to find was after I grouped it, I couldn't increase the size until I grouped the group. And
you had to hit the button to actually group it.
To group it, yes.
So outside of the red squares, then now what? Where's my actual group button?
Yes.
Yeah.
In my mind, select all should have been good enough.
It's funny because on the old machines, it was as soon as you hit OK, it was right there on that same page. On the new machines, you have to go to another page to find that square. You should change that too, by the way.
Yeah.
If anybody is out there listening to that too, it should be on that same page. It's silly to have to go to another page for that.
Then I did it once. And I didn't know how I did it. So I was like, shoot.
Where was that again?
But I know where it's at now. I did it
lots of times. Yep. Yes. The repetition is definitely key.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I cut that darn Minnie and Mickey. I cut Mickey like 12 times. So twice I cut him. And when I was weeding, because there's a big glump of space where there's, of course,
solid black.
Right. And it needs to come off. And then there's a couple of little lines. Well, it got stuck to the little line. It's done. So it's just a little line. So there's no pulling that back off. So toss that one, start it again.
And flick the hair while you're at it.
Flick the hair right over my shoulder. Dave, the cat was enjoying it because I literally did just toss it right over the couch because I was in the living room hanging out because the kitchen with the
yeah. That was dinner. It was dinner. It was cooked on the stove.
It was, yeah. I used the stove for my press.
Heat safe
press. Yeah.
Area flat surface.
It
worked.
Glass top that gets hot, so the iron was not hurting it.
There you go.
It was safe.
There you go.
It was a crazy week. It was a crazy weekend. That's right.
You guys should totally come craft with us because it's never dull.
It's not dull.
You just never know what we're going to get into,
right?
Or what we're going to say.
That is so true.
That's the entertaining portion of the afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
But yeah. So now that we've rambled,
all the stuff that gets edited out.
No doubt.
All right, guys. Well, next Tuesday, I will see you from the Magic Kingdom.
Yes. And for all of the rest of you, we'll maybe see you tomorrow morning.
That's right.
All right. So that's this one. Thank you for joining us this afternoon, and we will see you whenever the next time happens to be.
Yep.
Take care. Bye.